there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen invites me over for dinner, then demands I pay her for it. After that, am I the jerk for not letting my miracle baby niece be the flower girl? And after that, greedy owner tries to rip off my friend, ends up paying him double. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to make anyone pay her for dinner.
These groceries don't buy themselves, you know.
So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen invites me over for dinner, then demands I pay her for it. Typing this out sounds insane, and I really don't think I'm in the wrong, but I need to know. A friend invited me to a dinner party at her house a few weeks ago. The actual dinner party was last night. I asked if I should bring anything, but she said no, it's not a potluck. She'll be making dinner for everyone. There were 7 of us in total, and the food was good. During the meal, we were all laughing and called our friend, the dinner host, a chef because she made a big dinner for all of us, and we all said how much we appreciated it because it's hard to get everyone together at the same time. At the end of the dinner, we all helped her clean, we did the dishes, and we had some wine. It started getting late, so people started to head out. And on our way out, the dinner host said,
Don't forget to Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle me.
Some of us were confused because we had no idea that we had to send her money. So I asked, what am I sending you money for? And she said,
For cooking dinner.
Me, I don't understand why we should pay. Her,
Because I spent my money and hosted the dinner and cooked.
Me, none of us asked you to. You volunteered to do it, and you never mentioned paying until now.
I didn't do this for free.
Me, you should have told us before you hosted that you expected this. I don't think it's fair to just bring this up and expect people to pay. She called me a jerk and said again that she didn't spend hours cooking, grocery shopping for free. I've never heard of this, like ever. We kept arguing, and after a while, I just Venmo'd her the $40 she asked for. I don't think I'm the jerk at all, and some of my friends agree with me. Some have said that it's normal to pay for dinner during a dinner party at someone else's house, so now I'm not sure. Edit. A lot of you asked what she made, and it was some salad that I've never heard of. The main course was smoked Gouda mashed potatoes with beef short ribs. A dessert I forgot the name of. I think she said she bought this from a bakery. She also made vegan mashed potatoes and vegan ribs for one of our friends who's vegan. She also made, or bought, chicken skewers as the appetizer. Even though she said not to bring anything, I brought rum cake from my local bakery. And yes, everyone brought something small. We also had charcuterie and cheese boards that 2 of the girls brought. Some girls brought wine, and we even had one girl bring candles to set the mood. We're in the US and none of us are European. I spoke with some of the others, and although they had paid for a dinner party before, it was at least discussed first. No one has ever done what this friend did, which was sprung up on us at an unexpected cost. All of us are in our early 30s. The group chat is going crazy right now because everyone is upset with her. Not the jerk. What your friend did was extremely scummy. She invites all these people to dinner that she's making, no mention of paying before and after this. And then when everyone is done eating and finished cleaning, out of the blue she expects everyone to give her money. If I was expected to pay for dinner without knowing until after I ate, I would have skipped the dinner entirely. Cut contact with this friend. She shouldn't be hosting dinner parties if she's gonna pull stunts like this. Some have said that it's normal to pay for dinner during a party at someone else's house? No, this is not normal. It's normal at restaurants, but at someone's house? This ain't normal, and it sure isn't normal to wait until after the dinner was eaten and everyone helped clean up. $40 is a bummer, but in the long run, it's a small price to pay to learn that your friend is tacky, cheap, has bad manners, and has no social intelligence whatsoever. Consider it part of the cost of doing business as an adult, and handle your relationship with her in the future accordingly. You're the jerk. She has a house. It's up to you to pay her mortgage, taxes, and utilities. Oh, that's a joke. No. Am I the jerk for not letting my miracle baby niece be the flower girl? I'm 27, female. My older brother and sister-in-law, both in their mid-30s, just welcomed their first kid a year and a half ago, after years of trying. After many failed attempts, sister-in-law was told that she wouldn't be able to conceive due to a medical condition she has. They finally got pregnant. Since having my niece, the baby has been the center of attention at every family event we've had since she was born. Birthdays, weddings, family get-togethers, you name it. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my niece, but it can get to be a little too much when my sister-in-law goes on and on about how long they tried to conceive, complications they had, etc. Like a little too much info. Many family members have commented on how it's a bit excessive, but no one has said anything because they don't want to sound like a jerk. Anyway, I'm getting married in the spring, and my brother and sister-in-law approached me last weekend about having my niece be the flower girl. Now, my fiance, 35, male, has 2 kids, a son who's 10 and a daughter who's 6, from his previous marriage. His son is one of his groomsmen, while his daughter had asked to be our flower girl when we told them the news that we were getting married a year ago, as it's something she's always wanted to do. So of course we said yes. So I explained this to my sister-in-law when she asked me about my niece. She asked if my stepdaughter can just carry my niece with her. I said I don't think she'd be comfortable with that considering she's 6. She then asked why I can't just give that role to my niece and allow herself to carry my niece down as the flower girl. I said no, because I already promised my stepdaughter. She then started going off about how my lack of effort to incorporate my niece is disgusting to her. I should honor her in some way since I know how long and hard they tried for my niece. Now, I may sound like a jerk for this, but I kind of got fed up and I snapped and said, "Incorporate my niece how? By the time the wedding comes around, she'll be 2 years old. The entire family already knows your story about how long and hard you guys tried for her. What more do you expect me to do to honor her?" She started crying and said that clearly I don't love my one and only niece and I'm letting her down. I said of course I love my niece and obviously she's going to be involved in pictures and stuff, but I'm not going to let my stepdaughter down by giving my niece a role she's too young to remember anyway. Well, now sister-in-law and my brother are upset with me for not letting my niece be the flower girl and are running around telling the rest of the family I don't love my niece. My mom had been trying to stay neutral, but thinks my stepdaughter would understand if I explained to her I need to give that role to my niece. I'm firm in my decision though, and my fiance is thankful that I didn't let his daughter down. Am I the jerk for not allowing my niece to be the flower girl? Not the jerk. Let them be upset. If ever there was a time to take a stand for your stepdaughter, it's now. Without knowing her story or how she came to be part of your life, she's 6 years old and you've made a commitment to be in her life. The moment you make it official revolves around her as much as it does you. You absolutely have every right to honor the stepdaughter over the niece, and these first moments as stepmom are going to cause the ripple that forms the pond that is your relationship with her whole life. Trust me, if you back down now and give her spot away, it's going to ruin more than just your wedding. OP. I 100% agree. I came from a family with 2 divorced parents myself, and I'll never forget how crappy I felt when at my dad and stepmom's wedding, I wasn't included in it at all. Yet my younger brother was one of the groomsmen. Having that experience myself, I'd never want my stepdaughter to feel that way, or that she isn't involved in such a special day. It just causes so much drama in the family that it's so unnecessary. Not the jerk. She's their miracle baby, not yours. The fact that they want you to disappoint your soon-to-be stepdaughter in order to make their daughter the focus of your wedding is absurd. Not the jerk. It is your wedding. I don't know what gives people this sense of entitlement when it comes to events they aren't planning. If you want to compromise, at the age of 2, the baby should be walking. Maybe they could hold hands and walk. I had both of my nieces as flower girls, who were 2 and 9. Greedy owner tries to rip off my friend, ends up paying him double. My first job out of college was for a local TV station. The owner was, and still is, the worst human being I've ever met. This guy had money, but he would cheat and lie, anything to get out of paying his bills. When I started working there, the owner had just signed a contract with DirecTV to become part of their broadcast package. Since they were, at the time, purely a local TV station, this meant that we had about 2 months to upgrade our system so that we could start broadcasting to DirecTV customers in the entire Bay Area. Every day that we failed to do this past the deadline means that the owner would suffer a penalty per the contract. Not knowing how any of this works, the owner hired a friend of mine to come in as a freelance consultant. My friend told him that for about $15,000 US, he can get a system that will automate the entire process, which of course this guy didn't want to pay. He tasked my friend with finding a cheaper way, around half, and to pay for all of the hardware up front and get reimbursed later. Knowing what a jerk this guy is, I warned my friend not to front the money because he wouldn't get paid back. The guy just smiled and said, "Watch me." So he made it work. We went live on schedule and the owner was happy. Then my friend went in and presented the guy with the bill. Immediately, the usual excuses start. "Oh, I'm a little short this month. Can I pay you later?" etc. Then my friend pulled out the trump card. Not only did my friend threaten to take all the equipment back and take the station off the air, he reveals that in order to get the uplink working for cheap, he needs someone to come in every day and code the broadcast manually. It's not a terribly complicated procedure, takes less than 5 minutes. But of course, no one else at the station knows how to do it but him. So either the owner can pay him what he's owed, plus a $2,000 a month consulting fee, or the station goes dark and he starts paying the penalty to DirecTV. The jerk paid fast. So instead of $15,000, he ended up shelling out more than double that amount as my friend lapped up his $2,000 a month fee for close to a year before he felt bad and finally taught someone there how to do it. Moral of the story, only thinking about short-term gain will always cost you more in the long run. Am I the jerk for avoiding a game day I wasn't invited to? I'm female, 45. My husband, who's 44, has a group of friends he occasionally has over for a day of board games, like an 8 to 10 hour stretch. He goes to their houses to do the same. In the past, I was invited lots of the time, along with other wives and girlfriends. As we got older and kids came along, or for whatever reason, I'm not invited to participate. No other partners are either. It's probably been about 5 or 6 years. I've known these people for more than 20 years and I like them. I like games too. But whatever, it's his friend group, not mine. To be clear, I am explicitly not invited to join in. Now, when he hosts, I try to be out of the house doing other things. When I'm home, I go to a different floor of the house and just hang out by myself. I say hi briefly when I see his friends, but I don't stick around or have longer conversations. He asked why I'm like this, with annoyance, after the last one. He says one guy's wife is in the kitchen with them and cooks for them most of the day. She likes doing that. It's not a weird role thing. Another sits with them and chats. He says it's awkward that I don't do that and very clearly avoid the house entirely if I can, and then that floor if I can't. From my perspective, informed by a lonely childhood, I have absolutely no interest in hanging out around the edges of a social thing I'm not invited to. That seems so sad, pitiful, and desperate. I kind of had enough of doing that sort of thing more than 30 years ago. I'm not invited. How could I possibly tell if I'm an annoyance or too much, or affecting the dynamic from what they intended the dynamic to be by not having partners there? Further, it does hurt that I had been included and now I'm not. I really liked them and playing games. I guess that wasn't so much mutual. I'm always kind of sad that I'm not in a marriage where couple friends are a thing. We're friendly to each other's friends, but he, while entirely welcome, also isn't interested in hanging out with my friends. Maybe that's a rare situation for people. It's not what he wants, and he has a right to that. But I can be sad about it. He seems to think I am therefore pouting and taking it out on him. I think if I'm not included, it's crazy that there would be a problem with me absolutely not being there. So tell me, am I being an awkward and rude jerk? Edit to clarify a few questions. Yes, this has been communicated. Read the last 2 paragraphs like a conversation, with these words and details exchanged, because it was. Secondly, why I'm not included is irrelevant. It's completely acceptable to want to hang with your friends by yourself, even in a marriage. The change happened mainly due to ease of playing with a smaller crowd. It sucks for me, but no one is being explicitly mean to me by not including me. Third, I have stuff I'm happy to do on my own. I have my own friends, and while I get the nice intentions, I have no interest in making a friend group with the sole shared commonality of our husbands are friends, or excluded spouse spite game day. That seems extra and sad to me for some reason. Not the jerk. I would do the same thing. If I were explicitly not invited to a gathering, I would, obviously, not hang around. It sounds like your husband wants it both ways here. He wants you around to chat, etc., but you are explicitly not invited to take part in the entire reason for the gathering. So I'd consider him the jerk for complaining when you leave their gathering, to which you're not invited. If anything, I would consider it rude if I were to hang around when I'm not invited. There's no gray area in my mind. Your husband seems like a weirdo. I'm sorry, but all I can hear is, all the other mommies make us milk and cookies while we play Dungeons and Dragons. Why can't you? Not the jerk. There's nothing that says you need to play hostess to a party you don't get to join. It's the prerogative of the other wives to host, but that doesn't mean anything for you. You can do as you please. Ask him why the invites for you to play stopped. Info. What exactly does he want you to do? Provide snacks and then just sit and watch them play for 6 hours? If that is the case, then absolutely not the jerk. How would that be fun for you or comfortable for his friends? Assuming this takes place on a day off work, you should get to spend it doing what you want to relax, just as he is. You're the jerk. Possibly everyone sucks here, but either way, only somewhat mildly. It is kind of weird that you go to great lengths to completely ignore the game day group. I'm part of a game group that alternates between various locations, and in each place, the family members will occasionally stop by as they go about their own things. It seems to me you're hiding out of spite or hurt. None of us would ever expect our partners to cater to us, so if this is an exception that you want to get away from, a healthier way would be to address this directly. Also, if you're bummed about not getting to play as much anymore, I'd encourage you to find or build your own gaming group. It doesn't have to be with the other spouses. It seems to me that while you recognize that he has the right to do his own thing, you are nonetheless hurt by being unceremoniously uninvited and have not resolved this within yourself or with him. Daughter constantly complains to me about her upbringing. I, 45 female, had my daughter, CJ, who's now 28, when I was 17 years old. Her father did not stick around, and we really struggled for a bit. Even when I graduated college, I had a bunch of student loan debt, as well as juggling rent, food, and other expenses. CJ never lacked necessities, but I admit she didn't get a lot of material possessions. I would try to save up as much as possible to make Christmas and birthdays as fun as possible, but she didn't get much else throughout the year, and we only went on 2 vacations total in her childhood. We definitely ate a lot of struggle meals and had to move often. We honestly teetered on the poverty line. When CJ was 17, I was finally debt-free, got a promotion at work, and I was doing much better. I did start to give her things throughout the year. I used my bonus to take her to Disney World, somewhere she had always wanted to go but couldn't. It was nice that after years of struggling, I could spoil her a little. She went off to college, and in this time I met my husband, Matthew. We got married, and now we have 2 kids together, Jack, who's 5, and Melissa, who's 6. With our combined incomes, we live quite comfortably. I admit, Jack and Melissa have gotten a lot more than CJ did at that age. I've certainly never left her out. She's always invited on our trips, we pay for them. I get her random gifts throughout the year. Birthdays and Christmases are bigger. I'm trying to make it up as even as I can, but I know it realistically will never be. CJ first pointed out the discrepancy a couple of years ago when we took the kids to Disney. CJ went with us. I set CJ down and apologized for her childhood. I said I wish I had been in a better place when she was their age. I know I can never truly make up for it, etc. I said I know it'll take time for her to heal from that. I thought that was it, but since then, CJ has constantly complained whenever her siblings get anything. I'm always super sensitive to her feelings, validate them, etc. But things came to a head recently, on Jack's birthday. Instead of a party, he opted to see the off-Broadway production of Frozen. We, as always, invited CJ to come along, as well as her fiancé. The whole night she was pouting and seemed upset. I tried talking to her, but she brushed it off. We went to dinner after the show. Jack and Melissa were excitedly talking about it. CJ then butted in. "You know what I got for my 5th birthday, Jack? A Barbie from the dollar store." The kids didn't really see the big deal, but the adults at the table understood. I was civil the rest of the meal, but later I called CJ and told her what she did was unacceptable. I cannot continuously apologize for her upbringing, and she can't throw it in my face. I asked her if she wanted me to give her siblings less simply because she did. She said no, but that she can bring it up whenever she wants and she'll continue to do so. I said I was disappointed and hung up. Later, CJ sent me a very long text telling me I was a horrible mother. Am I the jerk? I understand CJ's position. I can't think of one present I ever received from my parents. Not to discredit them, because they paid for literally everything in my life. But I always knew they did their best, and I've always been grateful. CJ really needs to speak with a therapist and work on her insecurities. I don't get the hint from your post that you neglected her while giving her siblings more. Not the jerk. I can't understand it at all. She's 28 years old and she's jealous of a 5-year-old. She wasn't destitute. Her mother was doing the best she could. She got Christmas and birthday presents. OP, she's being utterly petulant. You've been way more than kind acknowledging the difference, including her and being generous with gifts and holidays now. Like, how long does she expect you to grovel? Time for her to grow up. Not the jerk for sure. Not the jerk from the info given. She's almost 30 years old and acting like a petulant child. From what you said, you truly did your best to raise her in a healthy and happy home and make sure she felt loved and had fun things from time to time. It sounds like she resents your new family with your husband and younger kids, but life goes on and you include her in all these vacations, etc. And you did the best you could as a young single mother and built a better financial life over time and with the help of a stable partner. It sounds like CJ needs therapy to work through these issues. She doesn't seem to have any perspective or maturity, unless there's more to the story. You're the jerk. Guess what? You can't control how your daughter feels and can't expect her to just forget her crappy childhood. Soft, you're the jerk. You can't help that you didn't have the money to give her a good childhood, but you also can't blame her for being resentful, seeing you showering her younger siblings with gifts and vacations constantly. There's a chance she's never going to completely get over that, and you have to decide what that means for your relationship. Honestly, I'd ask your daughter what it would take to make it right. Am I the jerk for refusing to invite my fiance's sister to our wedding? My fiance, 28 male, and I, 27 female, are getting married next year. His family is Spanish, but all of them speak perfect English. I don't speak Spanish at all. When I visit his family, no one ever switches over to English. They all always act like I'm not there. They just don't make effort to include me in their conversations at all. I swallowed this for years and I learned to live with it. However, I can't stand how his little sister, who's 27, treats me. Here are some examples. 1. When we visit his family, she always asks my fiance if they can spend time in two, to have some quality sibling time, without me. Since I don't know anybody in Spain, it just means that they're going out for the whole day and I just stay alone with their parents, who ignore me. I can't comprehend how people can treat their guests like that. I would never dream to tell my fiance to stay in a room in my hometown because I need some quality time with my sister. 2. I hate the smell of cigarettes. My nose is sensitive and I just can't stand it. I never have problems with it in public. When I smell it, I just move to avoid standing next to them. His sister smokes though, and she knows how much I hate the smell. She was asked many times to move her smoking elsewhere when I'm present, however, she always refused. There were times when we were eating lunch and she was doing this right next to me, knowing it disturbs me a lot. When I wanted to leave the table for 5 minutes to wait out the smoke, my fiance was calling me rude. Also, when I was refusing to sit down next to her, I was apparently being offensive. 3. We were planning a family trip. One day I was talking to my significant other in English when his sister comes between us and starts talking to my fiance in Spanish, ignoring my presence completely. He told me that his sister came and asked him to not bring me to that family trip, that it will be better without me, and that I'm not welcome there. I felt so disrespected that someone can stand in front of me and say all of these things in other languages, knowing that I wouldn't understand. 4. There were many moments when I was having an English discussion with my fiance, and his sister was just coming in and interrupting us without even hi towards me. She was just starting speaking in Spanish to my fiance, and I was just standing there, feeling very unwelcome. She advised my fiance to break up with me many times. She was telling his whole family mean stuff about me, apparently that I'm jealous, toxic, etc. None of it is true. I was very hurt hearing it, but I get it. If she felt like it, she should inform her brother. But not supporting our relationship makes me not want to invite her to our wedding. More subtle stuff, but character limit. So, now we're preparing a guest list. I don't want to invite her. I know I won't have a good time on my own wedding if she's there. Things she was doing to me were subtle, but I always felt excluded and bad. Am I the jerk? Edit. I'm learning Spanish. My current level is B1. All those situations above happened when I didn't speak a word in Spanish, and I didn't want to confuse people by saying I know Spanish now. Not the jerk. You don't have a future sister-in-law problem, nor a future in-laws problem. You have a fiance problem. He should be asking family to include you in conversations. He should be asking his sister to keep away from you with her cigarettes. He should have your back. He doesn't. Put this relationship on hold at the very least. Reconsider it carefully. Not the jerk, but you seem to have a fiance problem. So what if his sister asks him to spend the day with her? He can presumably say, no. Also, who cares if his sister says he should break up with you? Is he defending you? Making it clear that he won't entertain that kind of talk from his sister? What exactly is your fiancé doing about these issues? OP. He's very defensive about his family. He's very close with them, and I'm trying not to get in the middle of their relations. To be honest, I think he never defended me or asked them to treat me nicer. Last month, his father visited us, and my fiancé told him that I feel uncomfortable when they speak Spanish all the time, so I won't be joining them for dinners. Seems like they were feeling glad I didn't join them. More family quality time for them, I guess. You sound like a very nice person, but with low self-esteem. That's the only reason I can see why you haven't stood up for yourself by now and dumped your jerk fiancé. And make no mistake, OP, your fiancé is a jerk. His family always excludes you. He does nothing. His family ignores you. He does nothing. They speak badly about you. He does nothing. Do you notice a trend here? Your fiancé is not a good life partner. He sounds like a great son and brother, but as your fiancé, the man gets a failing grade. I'm not sure if he's your first serious relationship, but this is not a healthy dynamic. Him letting his family ignore, offend, and disrespect and hurt you speaks volumes about exactly how much he cares about you. Yes, he's close to his family, but he can be loving to them, but still firm and demanding that they treat you better. I don't think your fiancé will ever entertain your suggestion not to invite his sister. You must know that. All that's going to do is he's going to make you the bad guy in their eyes. Besides, his sister is not the only problem here. The whole family disrespects you, and your fiancé allows it. Think about that, OP. Really think about what that means. I advise you to not marry this man as things stand. I knew someone in a similar situation, and she deeply regrets it. Often says she wishes she could turn back time and do things differently. I really hope you reconsider what exactly you're signing up for with this family. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her fiancé and his sister? Please let us know.
I'm getting some serious Lannister vibes from fiancé and his sister. Ree, sweet home Alabama.
Karen neighbor stole my mail. I got it back from her. I recently ordered a mini Keurig coffee maker because I'm moving and would like one for my apartment. I could not afford one when I first moved, but I have more money now, so it was something I really wanted to get. I came home from work yesterday and expected to see my Keurig, but it looked like it was not there. I looked at my security camera and found that someone, who I don't recognize, took my Keurig from my front porch. I filed a report with the Postal Service, but I haven't heard anything back yet. I have a friend in my neighborhood, and she was hanging out with our neighbor, and she noticed that my Keurig was at my neighbor's apartment. She asked my neighbor if she could deliver it to me, and my neighbor said no, because it was delivered to her, so therefore it was fair game. This was a lie, and I told my friend that it was not delivered to her, rather it was stolen. I was upset, and I went over there to try to get it back, but she tried to make me pay for it. I threatened to call the police because that's really the only line of defense I knew how to do, and she ended up giving it back. Now, however, she's not speaking to me, and my family thinks that I overreacted. I think it was a bit extreme to threaten to call the police, but mail theft is very serious, and the Keurig was something that I was really looking forward to. I know I shouldn't care if I look bad, but my family's reactions make me think that I was in the wrong. Am I the jerk? Edit. Thank you all for your nice comments. I honestly wasn't sure if I was overreacting, but I've realized that I was not. I will be filing a police report tomorrow, and I'm going to let people know that our neighbor is a thief. Hopefully it makes a difference, and even if not, I'm sure that doing this is the right thing. Also, I decided to open my Keurig, and I love it. I'm very glad I got it back. Not the jerk, but she's a terrible thief to steal and not get rid of the box with your name on it ASAP. OP. I totally agree. That's probably the first thing you get rid of if you're going to take something. The Keurig was still in the box on her kitchen counter. Not the jerk. She stole from you. That's the only point that matters. Why wouldn't you call the police? Especially since you have evidence that she took it. Don't know what your family's thinking, saying that you overreacted. She stole and refused to give it back. Therefore, you'd be completely fair to call the police. OP. I just don't know if it's worth my time because I'm moving. I think it might still be a good idea though, only because she could do it again. Am I the jerk for evicting a family so I can move in? My life is kind of in upheaval right now, so I really don't know if I'm the jerk in this situation or not. TA, because my brother is on Reddit. So, background. 6 weeks ago, I, 27, female, found out that my husband, who's 30, has been cheating on me for the past 5 years with a few different women. I immediately moved myself and our kids, who are 7, 5, and 5, to my parents' house, where my brother, who's 22, also lives. Being only a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, it's very cramped, but my parents insisted that I leave my husband. I've only worked part-time for extra cash since the twins started preschool 2 years ago, and was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years before that. My husband owned our house and controlled our finances. I've realized in all of this that I own almost nothing, have almost no work experience, and only have a general studies associate degree. Had to cut college short because I got pregnant. Suffice to say that I'm freaking out about how I'm going to provide for my kids going forward, because I do plan on divorcing. Which brings us to this post. On top of everything, my grandma passed 2 weeks ago. She was very private with our finances, and while we knew she and my late grandpa made money from renting houses, she told my mom a few years ago that she had sold all her rental properties. Come to find out that she kept 2, and in her will left 1 to me and 1 to my brother, only grandkids. The one my brother inherited has been vacant for a bit, but the one I received is a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, with a family of 6 that live there, a single mom and 5 kids. She's a friend of a friend, so I do know that her husband passed in 2020 from you-know-what. As much as I obviously miss my grandma, the house is an absolute godsend, and I started crying when I found out about it. I told to my brother and his girlfriend, who's 20, how me and the kids can finally get our life back on track a bit. His girlfriend got really cold and asked if I was really going to evict a family when I could just live at my parents until I get on my feet, especially since my brother is now going to move into his inherited house and make more room. And my brother agreed with her, saying it was selfish. My parents said it's my house and I can do what I want, but they see his point, and that the family living there could easily be in the same situation as me. It's been such an emotional few weeks, so I don't know if I'm being a selfish jerk or not. Edit. This has only been up for a little bit, but thank you so much for the advice and comments so far. It's been such a whirlwind that I forgot that I just need to stop and breathe sometimes. Thanks, anxiety. She's on a month-to-month lease for a little under market rent. I was so focused on the fact that I now own something other than my 15-year-old vehicle that I didn't even consider staying at my parents' for a bit after my brother moves out. I recently started a more full-time position, and my kids love their grandparents, so this makes the most sense while I tackle all the legal stuff that's coming my way. I'll talk to my parents tonight about this route, which would alleviate a ton of guilt I was already feeling about the possibility of eviction. Thanks for snapping me out of my own head for a bit. Not the jerk. Your brother and sister-in-law are guilt-tripping you. Also, the house your cheating husband thinks he owns is half yours. Make him sell or refinance and give you the money. Plus, go for alimony and child support. Do all of this while staying at your parents and collecting the rent from the home your grandma left you. Now you have cash, an income, and then buy another rental home and start building a rental empire. Good luck.
Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.
Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.